Movement. No, not that kind of movement. What's good, NFL fans? It's week 3 and it's time to rank our top 10 teams for week 3. Let's dive right into number 10. Coming in at the number 10 spot, we got a newcomer to the top 10. First timer, I got the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, it might be a bit of a reach, especially since, you could have ranked other teams like the Commanders could have gotten this spot. And I really wanted to put the Buccaneers here because I like what Baker Mayfield has done so far. This could be a puzzling pick because Derek Carr hasn't been great so far. He has a passer rating of about 80. I still think the Saints are the best team in the division, and I still think Derek Carr is the best quarterback in that division. So by default, you got the best quarterback. I think they've got the best team. They should be able to make the playoffs, win their division, which would kind of just put them in at the 10th spot. You will need more out of Derek Carr going forward if you are going to win the division. His play right now is just not enough. He knows he's got to be better. This team knows he's got to be better. The fans know he has to be better. I think he'll be better, and I'd still take him over Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young, and Desmond Ridder. Coming in at the number 9 spot, I do have the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they did lose a pretty gritty, sloppy game to the Kansas City Chiefs in week 2, 17-9. No touchdowns, only field goals. That's not good enough. The Jaguars still have a pretty easy schedule and they have a pretty easy division, albeit the division has looked pretty good. I think the Colts have looked great. Houston has a dog in CJ Stroud, and the Titans are 1-1. They've got a potential trap game coming up in week 3 against the Houston Texans. You gotta win this game. You cannot lose these kind of games when you have the aspirations and the goals and the expectations that Jacksonville does. It's unacceptable. I don't think they'll lose, but if they do, whoo, oh boy. Now moving on to the number 8 spot, I do have the defending Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. Defending Super Bowl champions wouldn't usually fall this low, this fast, if they didn't look as sloppy and poor on offense as they do. They might have a serious wide receiver problem. Kadarius Toney, he was better in week 2. I mean, it's not hard to be better than whatever that was in week 1 against the Lions. Kelsey was back. That's huge. But I just don't know if they had that X factor at wide receiver. They didn't have one last year. I mean, they had Juju as their wide receiver 1, which is not much better than what they've got now, to be honest. But are teams figuring out how to defend Kansas City with only Travis Kelsey? That's the question that needs to be answered. And could they end up trading for a wide receiver? A name that comes to my mind that's really, really far out there, I know. They couldn't pay him. If Justin Jefferson is unhappy in Minnesota, do you think the Chiefs would take a swing? Their defense has looked surprisingly solid so far against 2 pretty good offenses in the Jaguars and the Lions. Chris Jones was back this week. That's huge. It's going to be huge going forward to help this defense stay good. They've been good so far, probably top 10. With the Chiefs' offense not up to speed, they really need the defense to step up, and the defense has been doing that so far, so you can't really ask much more out of them. Coming in at the number 7 spot, I do have the Detroit Lions, and last week they lost 37-31 in overtime to the Seattle Seahawks. I wouldn't be concerned if you're a Lions fan or a Lions truther like myself. They're still going to win this division. I don't think it's up for debate. The Bears are terrible. The Packers, Jordan loves a dog. Not going to win the division. And the Minnesota Vikings are frauds. Jared Goff had an amazing streak come to an end, sadly, in this game. 3rd longest streak without an interception in NFL history. That is impressive. Give that man some credit. He's a guy. He always has been. Jared Goff has always been a pretty solid starter who got a lot of hate in LA. They traded him away and won the Super Bowl. But in Detroit, he's really found himself, I feel like. Lions' best players have been their best players so far this year. Jared Goff has been doing enough to help the team win. Amon-Ra St. Brown went off last game. And Aiden Hutchinson has not been talked about enough. He doesn't have the sacks, but he's been getting pressure all game, every game. And he's becoming one of the best pass rushers in the league. Put him on notice because he's coming for your quarterback. Coming in at my number 6 spot, I got my very own, the Buffalo Bills. They had the absolute definition of a bounce-back game in week 2, defeating the Raiders 38-10, an absolute blowout. The Raiders had a touchdown on the first drive, and after that, it was over. It Just Buffalo outscored them 38-3. It wasn't even close. Buffalo dominated the time of possession. Josh Allen was very patient in that game. That's a large part of why they won and dominated so much. The issue is if Josh Allen can play consistently like that, and throughout his career, he just has not been able to do it. Have to see that from him going forward. If he can play like that consistently, checking it down, taking the quick pass, defenses have to adapt. And when you open up that deep play again, when you run the cover 1, cover 0, then you got to adapt back, and it's going back and forth, and you just have to play with what the defenses are giving you. And if the Bills can do that, watch out. Enough about their offense, though. The run defense was phenomenal in week 2. Held Josh Jacobs to 9 rushes for -2 yards. That's like some Reggie Bush type stuff right there. Coming in at the number 5 spot, I have the Baltimore Ravens, who defeated the division rival Cincinnati Bengals 27-24 in week 2. With that result, it does move them into first place, sole possession of the AFC North at 2-0. From week 1 to week 2, it slowly looks like Baltimore is starting to heat up. It's going to take them a bit more time to get to where I believe they should be at, but rest assured, they're going to get there, and they're going to be electric if they're not already. Zay Flowers is their wide receiver 1. That kid has been absolutely electric so far. He's so much fun to watch. Lamar had a better game in week 2 than he did in week 1, and you can't really ask for much more than that because he won. He helped you win the game, and like I always say, a win is a win. The Steelers and Browns are not legit contenders for the division title anymore in my eyes, whether it's due to your second-year quarterback not being very good or the play calling and the Browns losing their superstar, best running back in the league, Nick Chubb, to a gruesome knee injury. It's just prayers up for Nick Chubb. You gotta hope he gets better and can come back stronger than ever. And don't forget about Cincinnati. Unless they can get it together, Baltimore should run away with this division. I don't think it'll be close. I think Cincinnati will get it together. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. Joe Burrow's getting shut down. We don't know if Joe Burrow's getting shut down for a while yet. His calf got re-aggravated. We all knew it was going to be an issue. They should have rested him. Besides the point. Baltimore just has to stay healthy, which has been a slight issue so far. And number 2, just keep winning. And with their schedule and their division falling apart, I think they should be able to do that. Coming in at the number 4 spot this week, I do have, finally moving up, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Super Bowl hangover is not hitting this Eagles team. I'll give them their credit. I've been kind of an Eagles hater, a Jalen Hurts hater as well. Their start hasn't been easy. They played some teams that have played them pretty solid, but they're 2-0. And like I said, a win is a win, and they're getting the job done. Jalen Hurts hasn't played to his full potential necessarily so far, and I think once he starts to do that, plays like he did last year, this Eagles team could start to climb these rankings. Granted, there's not much room to climb here. They're at the 4th spot. But this team is so stacked and has so much talent on both sides of the ball. They're so dominant in everything they do. It's just hard to rank them any lower at this point. When I do these rankings, I go from the bottom to the top, and I go, okay, could that team beat the team above them? Best on best, neutral field, no injuries, just a perfect game. And every team below the Eagles, right now, I don't think they would lose to. I think they'd lose to the 3 teams above them, though. That 3rd team above them, coming in at number 3, I do have the Miami Dolphins. I don't think Tua had the best game of his career against the Patriots on Sunday Night Football, but people are so quick to just hop off his bandwagon and say, oh, look at I told you so. Tua's a fraud, blah, blah, blah. He's not that good, whatever. He's still a top 10 quarterback in this league, and he's still the most accurate quarterback in the league. Watch the film. Stop stat watching. That's just the dumbest thing you could do. One of the knocks I think Tua gets, especially, is that he's a system quarterback. And yes, Mike McDaniel's system definitely benefits Tua Tagovailoa. But name me a quarterback that wouldn't benefit from a system with good weapons, elite weapons, that fits their skill set and their needs. It's like, are you trying to fail? Do you want your quarterback to not succeed? Get that dumb notion out of your head if that's one of the excuses you use. It's just not a good one. I do think some of the weaknesses of that offense, though, were exposed a little bit, how to cover them, how to shut them down a little bit. They still managed to score 24 points, but I just think there's so much talent. The scheme is too good, and they're just too dominant. I might have said that twice already, but they're just too good. If Miami can keep up this pace, stay healthy, keep winning, and even beat Buffalo, they're going to run away with the AFC East. Now, you could probably figure out who the top 2 teams are based off of last week, and I'm just going to name them together. Number 2, you have the San Francisco 49ers, and at number 1, the Dallas Cowboys. It's time to give Brock Purdy some real credit, all right? He's exceeded all my expectations, crushed all the concerns that I had about him. I don't think he's a top 10 guy, but he fits this system perfectly. He's the guy for San Fran, no question about it, and as long as he doesn't cost too much, they should get lots of good years out of him when it comes time to pay him. Or they could just replace him again and draft the other Mr. Irrelevant. The 49ers beat their division rival, the Los Angeles Rams, in week 2, 30-23. And they've scored 30-plus points in every game so far this season. There's only been 2, but the only other team that has done that and done that better is the team that's ahead of them, the Dallas Cowboys. America's team has scored 70 points on offense so far against 2 New York teams that actually play in New Jersey. And they've only allowed 10 points, which came against the other New York team that plays in New Jersey, the Jets. Both of those are league best, by the way. And I do want to say this. We need to start talking about Micah Parsons as the unanimous best defensive player in football. Maybe the best player in the league. He's just too dominant. He's a freak out there, and he's so much fun to watch. Unless he's playing your team, you're probably shitting your pants. If you don't have a game plan to stop this guy, it's over for you. You're done. You're toast. Your line pressure and in your quarterback's face, it's over. It's game. Pack it up, leave the stadium, you're done. They sure as hell need Parsons to stay healthy, and they need Dak to keep doing what he's doing. He's playing well. CD, all the other guys they got. Dallas is loaded, and Dallas could make a run, and I know it makes everybody upset. They're just too good. And with that, that is it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, and in the comments down below, let me know if you agree with my top 10. Let me know your top 10 team. On your way out, please subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so if you're new here, I would appreciate it if you could help the rest of us get there. And that's all I got. Don't you just love football?